All right. All praise to the Most High Yahweh and to His Son, my brother, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes. In this video, we are dealing with another demographic group in the region of Asia and India. And this demographic group are dealing with the cities. Um, these are your Bantu grouping of people that are living in Asia or in India, in the Afghanistan, India, and Pakistan region. So we are gonna get into their DNA information because our brothers and sisters believe they are Israelites, and I agree with them on that. But we have to understand the content and the details of these people being Israelites. What do all that information contain to, and who these people are, and so on. So we have to always investigate or research the claims, and we have to uh, have proper information to prove those claims and thoughts. And I believe these are our people because many of them, not all of them, but many of them are E1B1A haplogroup of people and L2A groupings of people. So we have to look into all this new information and properly understand it. And so, with that in mind, let's get into the um, the study and the research. So here, this is a page that often comes up when you are searching for DNA information, and these are just um, equations and formulas that they use to um, get into the content of admixtures and all that. But we don't have to really worry about any of that stuff. The information that we are just trying to look for in these white paper setups are haplogroups, defining mutations, and very basic stuff that we need to recognize when we come into um, these PDF settings. And you don't have to download like many of this stuff, or most of this stuff is like um, laid out on the site. And if you want more information, you PDF and you get other stuff. And I think there's a fee with that, but I'm not sure. But I just keep it simple, and I just look for information that I need to know about these people. And so we're going to get into that on this page. So these people were brought to India by the Portuguese 300 to 500 years ago. But before that, um, our people, the people that um, are dealing with the E1B1A grouping of city people, um, our people were going to India to begin with because they was in the trade business. So these are people from southeast to eastern Africa, and these are people that was mercenaries. You know, you heard this story before with the Lascar people, but the Lascar people are not Hebrew Israelite people or descendants. So the same with the city people. So you have Bantu people um, migrating um, before and during the Arab slave trade to Asia from Africa or just going into further regions into Africa. And most of the time, we have to deal with the obvious reason for that. And a lot of our people, whether if it was in West Africa, North Africa, Central, South, East Africa, a lot of our people were involved with kingdoms and empires that were multi uh, racial empires and kingdoms that they had treaties with, and that they was a part in the downfall of those kingdoms and structures because of the differences. Like you could always have contracts and treaties for so many years before that relationship falls apart. So all these empires and kingdoms was in the business of having that set up with many groups of people and even with the European people before slavery kicked in. So before all that happened, you normally have uh, what we call nowadays civil unrest or unrest among you know ethnic groups within those regions and kingdoms. So we have to get used to the content or the information of us seeing and hearing our people having slaves, trading slaves, and so on. The only difference with hearing and understanding this information about our people having slaves and so on is we are the only people in the African diaspora that never was returned their identity, their country, to their culture, and so on. So we as people in uh, the Americas or Asia or Europe, we haven't been given back our content of information that we are looking for. So here we are looking into everything from scriptures to artifacts to DNA to curses to prophecies to other information to explain to us what happened. So here we are with this information, and we shouldn't be discouraged by our people even having our own brothers and sisters as slaves to trade and to do um, um, what we call negotiations to get their own people back. So we have to always be mindful with the new information versus the old information, and how we always want to view our people as like chosen, holy, pure people, but we've fallen very far from our heaven into this state of hell, and we don't want to even consider the the madness that we put ourselves and our brothers and sisters into to get all of us into this mess when we were like basically warned so many times about um, following the heathen culture and nature to where we do outrageous things like this. So um, we shouldn't deny the the information of us having slaves and so on anymore, especially when you have you know all these kingdoms and empires so close in West Africa, and all of a sudden, everything fell apart. Somebody clan or tribe became super rich, where other people, tribes, and clans started to be killed and slave traded to other groups of people in Africa and other places around the world. So we just have to have common sense with um, the way that we thought our history was portrayed versus the way it should be, and um, we just have to be mindful of everything being worse than what the Africans, even the Africans that are our people, are saying it was, and the same with the European people, and the same with the Asian people, and the same with the American people. We have to understand that things were a lot worse because here, even here in America, when you are looking at the plantation setup, you had, you know, what we would call coons. You had black slaves that were um, slave masters, and not that was not slave masters, but it was slave master um, favorite black person or black individual that they would put over um, certain labor groups of slaves at the time, and you had the same with the women in the house structure with certain groupings of slave women having a a lead over them that is the slave master favorite black woman um, slave laborer. So our people will often find uh, favoritism among other groups of people due to their overall spirit and nature to want to do more, want to do more, and want to be better than other people. So we have to be mindful of that content. And so here we have this page dealing with the samples of uh, city people, and one of the reasons why they did this because um, these people remind white people of African people and African American people. So they had to get involved with people that are in India that are looking like African American people because this is constantly proving a point of um, groups of people and percentages of people on the planet are mostly dark races of people. So um, if you're a white group of people, or if you are a white person and you are um, researching white papers dealing with dark races of people, you are constantly unnerved or nervous about the information that you're seeing about many dark races of people and how they end up in certain regions and so on. So I just wanted to scroll down the page to the point to where, and often these are just dealing with a lot of setups to support content of like an admixture of people that what they are trying to promote when they are talking about the city people and the limbo people and a few other classification of groups of people that are um, like related to either Africa or Hebraic groupings of people and content or Abrahamic groupings of people. So did I pass it? So you have a lot of charts and numbers and estimates and equations, but what we are just looking for are these haplogroups, and we'll get there. So here we go. So the Y-DNA information that we are looking for. So right here we are just looking at the M groups, and you are looking at a variety of groups of people: Hamitic people, Shemitic people, Japhetic people. So what we are looking for is our um, haplogroup marker, E1B1A. And when you don't see that, you look for the other content dealing with E1B1A, and that will be M2. So M2 right there. You have, like I said, other Shemitic groups. You have M33, that would be Shemitic Ishmaelite. You have M182, that would be Hamitic people, I believe. Yep. And we scroll down and we get there, and here you are. So you have B2-M182 and E1B1A-M2. So these are dealing with the majority of those people, of city people, being from this grouping of people. And then they go into other content of the C group and Japhetic groups. The C group would be your Shemitic Moabite people. That would be your Aboriginal Australian type of person. And then you have your Japhetic groupings of people. And then further down the page, we run into some more stuff. And right here, they are constantly trying to group all the dark people together. But this is the irony. So E3A, E1B1A, E2, and B2. So remember, E1B1B, they have Shemitic Edomite marker. Those people have a percentage of pale complected people among them. And now you look right here and you see how they group these dark groupings of people. B2, the Hamitic group, and E2, that would be your Midianite group of people. And E3A can vary to be a overall marker for the E haplogroup of Shemitic Abrahamic people. So it could be dealing with uh, Aram. It could be dealing with Ishmael. It could be dealing with our people. So um, they really try to use this E3A or E2 something or E2A or EB something. Um, they use those in pie charts often to throw off people when they are looking for Shemitic, Abrahamic group of people, and they'll often just group us all together, and that shouldn't be the case because we're different groups of people. But yes, we are dark complected people, all of us, minus that percentage of Shemitic Edomite grouping of people. And then we have other content of information that we could Google search to find haplogroup information. And then we have some more haplogroup stuff. And then further down the page, there's some mtDNA stuff dealing with the women. L0A would be dealing with your Hamitic women. L2A would be dealing with your um, Shemitic Israelite women. L3B, L3E, L3A, all those are your Shemitic Edomite women. So, and then they have content dealing with Japhetic women at the bottom. So, is this the one? So I want to scroll down further, and I don't think this is the page, but um, I just wanted to share with you this information because now we know that there are E1B1A groupings of people among the city population. So we are going to go into another page, I believe. Let's see this. And all these pages are similar pages of Wikipedia information with some of the pages dealing with a little bit more information. So on this page, I'm going to just look at this part right here. So the importance of DNA information is because you have um, a UNESCO back initiative on this group of people, and normally when they are doing that to people, they are not so much doing DNA testing on people, but they are limiting the resources of the region um, against the population, and they are trying to take advantage of the landscape and the resources of that land and region by claiming UNESCO on that region. So um, they could experiment and exploit a lot of stuff from the population and from the land, and they really want to use it as a uh, no-go area for heavy people traffic. So the elites, um, big thing with their foundations and NGOs, they like to mark it off and make it um, like a territory to where it's a limited amount of people that could view the region and the people and so on. So I found it interesting that they um, did a UNESCO format on the city people. So so now we're gonna scroll up, and as you see, this is just a repeat of the information that the previous site showed. The obvious information of Hamitic people and uh, Shemitic Israelite people being being the majority of the grouping. So you have your Hamitic woman L0, and your Shemitic Israelite woman with L2A, and then we scroll up. Then we look at the YDA, and this is the same format. You see E1B1A 1, and then you see haplogroup E-M2, and you look at the percentages. So, and they tell you the demographic region where are these people concentrated around. So I'm gonna just scroll up the page. To and so I'm just scrolling up to give y'all a look at this web page. So and you'll see the same content of information on the Wikipedia page as well. Um, so we go there, and the same information. And like I was saying before, um, our people often achieve certain status and abilities as being slaves. They'll move up ranks and favor with people, and they'll become free slaves or free um, uh, sultans and um, Zanji or Zanzibar or um, all these other terms that are referred to free slaves that are doing mercenary work or other labor for hire instead of for free labor. So, so Muhammad bin Kazim. Here goes some more information. The Gujarat. And so in this part, you have the information of the dance and the drumming. And I look at this information as similar to a form of communication and language as a coding application to carry on certain traditions while in captivity. So our people have that ability to use musical gifts and guidance as a language tool to observe and to maintain some cultural value and cultural remembrance of their past. And that should be added to the understanding of who our people are as well. Our gifted ability of having content of the soul that could translate into art and other formats of communicating to our brothers and sisters. So um, that's the other side of this information we have to be amazed with and understanding of. And then the same information of YDNA and MTDNA. So we move on from the city people to that to I think this pie. So this pie real quick. So you're looking at this pie chart that are dealing with regions in India, and you have percentages of the slices representing, haplogroups. So the North Indian grouping would be dealing with your Japhetic, Caucasian, and Asian haplogroups of people. The same with the West, and the same with the East. And then when you get into the South, this is your first look into your Shemitic um, Edomite grouping and your Shemitic Israelite grouping of people with E1B1B and E1B1A. So E1B1B would be your orange slice cut of the pie, and right above the orange, you'll have a lavender pastel color. Then with your Shemitic Israelite group, your E1B1A group of people. And we move on from there to uh, this chart. So with this chart, we are gonna just look at the same thing that we often look up or look at with the sub-Sahara YDNA chart. So these are all different haplogroups dealing with Asia mostly. Even though many of these haplogroups are found other places in the world, these are the groups of haplogroups that are found in India, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. So we are looking at the haplogroups, and we are trying to just look into who and where our people are in this chart or in the setup. So when you're looking at the population or the demographic, um, you have some of the groups that we sing or the region we sing marking the city people, and some are just different groups of people altogether. So the first group would be your B group, your Hermetic group of people. The C group would be your Shemitic Moabite group of people. The D group, this DE group, is referring to a combination of ancestry of Shemitic, Abrahamic relationship, but technically that's there's no relationship or um, connection to that content. So really, this is dealing with the Shemitic Ammonite grouping of people, um, and then the E group is dealing with all your Shemitic Abrahamic group of people from Ishmael, Aram, Midian, um, Israel, Edom, all the Shemitic Abrahamic group. They just put right here. Even though other pie charts and other um, pages might not um, make a notation, every other study and research will make a notation of a breakdown of those groups, even though many charts or pie graphs won't. Most of the time, you'll have that um, information in different white papers or think tank studies on DNA information in that region. So you have your first look into the Elamite, your Shemitic Elamite haplogroup, which is F. F would be your Shemitic Elamite group. And then the Japhetic um, imitation group of the F group would be your H. That would be your H group, the people that the media would try to promote being um, the native Elam or Elamite person. When Elam is a Shemitic dark group of people. The G group, the G group, the H group, and the I group, and the J group, all these are your Japhetic Caucasian groups of people. These are your people that are pale complected people to tan complexion groups of people. So these are those people. And don't be too surprised if you did see uh, dark people among these people, because that's the trait that Japhetic people have. They have the ability to reproduce different skin complexions of people. So, and then we move on to K, L, M, and N, O, P, Q, R, and all the R's. So all these groups of people from G to the R's are Japhetic, Caucasian, and Asian groups of people. These are similar groups of people that you find in Europe, similar groups of people that you're claiming to be the Native American people. So you have the R and the Q groupings that would be your some of the population of the Arawak people in the Americas, and then you have your Shemitic Moabite group that will make up the other parts of Arawak people as Native Americans. And remember, the C group would be your Aboriginal Australian people, and the D group would be your Jawa people in the islands of the Indian Ocean near India. So we have that. Oh yeah, and T. So often T and S and M, those are similar groupings of K. So often we don't really pay too much attention to T and S because it's just the same as M and K. So what we are interested in not so much now because of the group being um, consolidated as Shemitic Abrahamic groups of people. But we'll just look at the some of the demographics or regions dealing with the city people. So you have the um, Balochi, Balochi, and Baluchi um, groups in Pakistan and Afghanistan. They have samples of E, and it could be any uh, grouping of the haplogroup samples, and then we scroll down to the uh, Gujarat people in India, and I believe this is for Elam. I hear B, C, D, and F. That four sample would be for Elam, and as you can see, you have other Gujarat people, and as you can see, you have B, nothing. You have some samples for C, nothing for D, and then you have something for E, and then you look further down, it's nothing but Japhetic people. So, and on here, I don't think there's anything dealing with the city people. And then you go to South India, the same. B, nothing. C, a little bit of something. Um, D, E, nothing. E, nothing. F, and then after that, you have Japhetic people. So that's why we try to compare a lot of information of the pie graphs versus sample charts because in the pie graph you have percentages probably higher than this of this group of Shemitic Moabite people for Israel and Edom, but here it don't even comes up. It just blank for the whole group of E. So that's why you have to understand what is being relayed to to and from this information of DNA, because yeah, they'll do pie graphs and charts, but then they'll do all this stuff with the charts and the graphs or the pie, and they'll have blanks or zero, and then you go into the white paper of that information, and you'll see a high percentage of content, and that's because they in this demographic setup they are doing it by regions and cities more so than demographic group. And remember, these are billions of people, so they are purposely sometimes trying to mislead people. And then you have your Indian Dravidian people. Um, that would be percentages of your gypsies that you're looking at, the Dravidian people and the Moldovan people. Let's see, and that's about it. And there's another group of people that you might get confused with the city people with the spelling. The Sindhi people are different from the Siddi people. So and we scroll down, and you can see that these are Japhetic people, and that's about it. Was there anything else on this page? No. And then we go here to another Wikipedia genetic site. Scroll up, and this goes into further detail on this Wikipedia page on Y-DNA and mtDNA of genetic groups in South Asia. So your Andamanese people, those people would be your Shemitic Ammonite people. Those are Ammon in that island region near India. That would be your D group. So those are groupings of people that are closely dark races of people that are dealing with all the Shemitic dark races of people, but we are not the same people. And once you further your understanding of this information, you'll find out that there's way more dark races and groups of people than the pale complexion groups of people. And there's only two groups or percentages of pale groups of people that are Shemitic Edomites at a low percentage of that grouping and population, and the same of the Japhetic Caucasian people and or Asian people that are a low percentage of that grouping of people. So, and this page just goes into a lot of stuff about those people. And here you are. You look at the F, the F right here for Elam, and then you have the H. But a lot of the times, they'll promote the H over the F for the region. So that's about it. So once again, all praise to the Most High Yahweh and to His Son, my brother, Hamashiach Yahushai. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes. I hope this video and the content have been beneficial to edifying a lot of things that I've been trying to help us all connect the dot to, and hopefully these videos that I'm putting together is the build up for your understanding to be better with the DNA information and the overall content, a better understanding for your knowledge towards the Bible, because I know we have questions about um, lineages and um, lines of people, and we have the proper guidance tool in the Bible of the breakdown of the generations of people and sons and daughters, and then we are questioning to ourselves that content of the different content of progenitors that will eventually break into tribes, that will eventually break into kingdoms and then break into empires and nations of people and then back down into clans and then the clans break back into tribes and kingdoms once again and the cycle repeats itself. So this is where DNA information comes into play with that content of visualization of massive groups of people and generational content of those people moving from places to places and then the mutations of those people when they are in a region for a long time and so on. So that's the beautiful understanding of this information, and we shouldn't you know downplay it because it helps the scriptures very well when you're looking for content to uh, win over your Pan African brothers and sisters and other um, brothers and sisters that are lost and that can't really understand the Bible, but rather understand science. Well, the Bible is science, and science is the Bible, and that's where you have the correlation and corresponding of the content of these generations and information of movement of people. And to the best of my ability, I try to explain and expound on the content, and I try to do it in a way to where I don't have to get um, biblical, but it's nothing wrong with having scriptures to guide the way to understanding who people are. So I do use Bible information and scriptures for this information. So it's not like I'm just making up these letters and reversing them out of order and saying this and that. No, there's guided wisdom that I'm using to understand this information because without that, I'd be thinking, you know, all these people are white and all these other people are black, you know, just two groups of people or two groups of races of people on the planet instead of multiple dark races of people with percentages of pockets of pale complexion people among them. So that's the message of this video. I'm just trying to continue to connect the dots on these demographic groups and to better the argument when Israelites go, the city people are our people, they are Hebrew Israelite. The Yoruba people, the Igbo people, these are Israelites because of this. Well, we could all say, well, because of the YDNA information, these groups of people share that information along with other um, groups that our people want to favor as Hebrew Israelites in Africa. And then when you look at that information, you look and see that many of those groups are heavily populated people in the Americas. So that's the better way to understand this information. And that's what I want to give and leave with y'all today and the next day. Once again, peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes.